Hi everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to make a God's eye. So all you need for this is 2 sticks and some twine, rope, thread, wool, whatever you have lying around the house. Now with this one here, I made it simply with 2 pencils and a piece of twine that was hanging around the house. With this one here, I used 2 wooden dowels. So I used wooden dowels like this, and I think this is actually a furniture cord is what I had, and it turned out quite nice. A lot of the time though with the God's eye, it's nice to have contrast colours. So for this one here, I used embroidery thread, which have beautiful colours in them. But if you don't have that, that's fine. This one here, you can make a brooch. I made this with nice silver, kind of silver and goldy coloured thread that I had. And you see the brooches here that I have, they are simply made with toothpicks. So if you have toothpicks, now what you might do if you have toothpicks and you're using toothpicks is maybe snip off the ends so they're not too sharp. I'll show you at the end. Then there was a couple of ones that I used that I put beads onto them, and they're quite nice. Also another thing that I used, which you could use, is some ribbon. So the ribbon came up quite nice, and that's literally little pieces of ribbon turned around in a God's eye and then beads put on the outer edges. So that can come up quite nice. So we'll clear the decks here and we'll start off from scratch. And we have our 2 wooden dowels, or actually another thing I used was branches. So if you don't have dowels around the house, just go out and cut off 2 little thin pieces of branches, as long as they're solid enough, and all you're going to do is turn them into a cross shape and twist around. So we'll start with, let's clear it completely so that you can see well what I'm doing. Get your 2 wooden dowels or your sticks and line them up together and place them down like that. Now an easy way to find out the length of your dowels, you don't even need a ruler for this. So measure the length of your dowel, got it here, split this in 2, and this here will be the midpoint of your dowel. So the midpoint here, mark your midpoint so that you'll be working evenly on the sticks. So your midpoint is there, your midpoint is here. And once you have the midpoint, what you can do then is get your wool, and on the midpoint tie 2 knots. If you just tie 1 knot, it's going to slip off. So tie 2 knots around, and that secures the wool onto your sticks. Okay, so that's the first thing you do. Second thing, wrap that around 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. Now get your sticks and turn them into a cross like this, and wrap again in the cross way. So the opposite cross ways you're going to go. So across the middle, 1, 2, 3, and that should be fairly secure for you to work on now. So watch this. You're getting your string, you're going over the stick, around, over and across to the next one. So over, under, and turn it and go across to the next one. Over, under, and cross to the next stick. Over, under, keep it pulled tight if you can, and cross to the next stick. Over, under, and cross to the next stick. Over, under, cross to the next stick, and you can keep turning it as you're going around. Over, under, cross to the next, under, cross to the next, under. And if you keep remembering that pattern, that you're going over the next stitch, under it, and crossing to the next one, so remember it that way and you won't go wrong with this pattern. And already you can see the God's eye starting to take shape. So you can do that for as long as you want. It's nice though with a God's eye to actually contrast the colours. So this used to be called Ojo, or this is called Ojo de Dios, because they reckon that it originated in Mexico. So that would be Spanish for eye of the god. So keep going until it gets to the size you want it to be for the middle of the eye. And then if you want to change colours, you can keep going in the one colour if you want, but if you want to change colours, cut the tail end off and then simply tie 2 knots here. Now if your wool is very, very, very thick, now that's 1 knot, but then tie 2 knots. 2 knots. So you have the 2 knots at the end, so that's secure. So when I'm starting off with my next colour, I usually don't start where I've just tied the knot. I go on to the next piece. And it's good if you're using colours to maybe have contrast colours, rather than, say, if you have an orange here, then going for a lighter shade orange. You can do it that way, but it's nice if you just make it into a contrast. You see here, the black really throws up the colours as you go along. So I put black every second colour, so it really brings it to light then as you're going along. This one here, I moved, these are the colours of the rainbow. Orange, Richard of Orange gave battle in vain. Yes, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. So that's how I learned it. I think there's a different rhyme for it nowadays, but that's what I learned with it. So then when you want to start off a new colour, get your next colour, and again, just to tie 2 knots, 1, 2, and keep going. You can tidy up all those knots at the end, or you can weave them in if you want to. So remember, you're going over, over, under, turn to the next one. Over, under, turn to the next one. Over, under, and turn to the next one. Then you're going around it and go to the next one. You can secure that tail end in there as you go along, or you can cut those off. Over, under, over, under, over, under, over. And that's the way you keep going like that until you build up as much as you want to make of it. You can keep going different colours if you want, or this one here, actually I stayed with the same colour the whole way through and it turned out very nice. This one here is the same colour, but then on every round I did 2 rounds each time. So what I did was, so you can play with these patterns. So each time I went around the bar twice and then came along, twice and then came along, twice, and then went to the next thing, and that spaces out your pattern. So actually, if you wanted to do a plain one and then did another one and turn it this way and link the 2 of them up, it comes out in a very, very pretty pattern. So there's a whole load. Once you learn how to do this, this one here, if you can see that, I went over the bar each time for the middle one, but then for the second colour, I went under the bar. So I went backwards. I went the opposite way around. And what that does is it changes, it gives you depth. If you can see that, it gives you depth and it spaces out the colours. So there is actually red, orange, yellow, green. So that's using the same colours as this, but it just came out a bit differently. So it's quite nice. So that's that. There's, you can look, you're only limited by your imagination. This one here, I went around 3 times. So I started around here, round the middle, round the next one, but then I came backwards. And then when I got to here, it went back again. So I never incorporated the 4th leg of the sticks in this one. and you can make that pattern. Or this one here, if you can see it, it's turned into more of a kite shape because I went around once, around once, around once, but then when I got to here, I went around twice and then came up. So this spaces out these ones and keeps these ones here tight together, and that is a quite nice kind of a finish to it. This is a similar one here, but I actually did the God's Eye in a different colour in the middle. And what else? Oh yeah, these nice little brooches. So you can do something like this. So that's a God's Eye in the middle. But then when I got up to here, I put a little toothpick and I created another God's Eye here. So it's all the same stick, except I put a toothpick on the four ends and you come out with this pattern. So that's quite nice. Another thing you could do is you can do your God's Eye, put beads, then do another God's Eye, then put beads again and do another God's Eye. And that can be a nice little brooch for yourself. So you're only limited by your imagination. Now the one thing I will say to you is, this one here, it did turn out beautiful and it's nice, but I use branches for this. The wooden dowels, they won't kind of bend, even if you go tightly. But if you go a bit too tightly with the branches, it might turn more into a bowl. But that's okay, because I can pretend that I did that on purpose. So if you follow that, find out how to do that and get used to that, then my next tutorial, I'll show you how to make a mandala. So you're using 2 God's Eyes to start off this one. And you're making, as you can see, there's 8 ends coming out. So this is actually 2 God's Eyes together. So my next tutorial will advance to this one. But just to show you one other thing is that I do a lot of basket weaving as well. And that with basket weaving, you normally, or you can do, so that would be the handle of your basket. You have 2 rings here, and you use a God's Eye to secure the basket in the first place. So a God's Eye can be useful for other things as well, aside from wall hangings. So if you enjoyed that, come back for the next tutorial and we'll move on to a mandala. Thank you.